I have no idea how you managed to get second in locals with a deck like this. Greetings, Rigil Agateiades here, and today we have a mess. This deck started with me trying to make use of a card that's mostly forgotten, Duel of the June Moon. But then, someone took that video from quite a long time ago a bit too seriously. Or maybe not so seriously, but still ended up getting second place in some locals. With that, of course I'll have to give it a go again, so today we're here with some updates. But first, for those who are out of the loop, what even is this deck? Simply said, you spam face-up spells. Duel of the June Moon is a spellcaster monster that special summons itself when a face-up spell is on your field. With an effect to gain 600 attack per face-up spell trap, it gets large. Quite large. It also has a second effect that's a foolish burial by sending 2 face-up spell traps to the graveyard as cost. This can send things like the Water Enchantress, so we're putting up as many face-up spells as possible. The Adventurer engine also pumps out 2 face-up spells through Water Enchantress, making it the backbone of this deck. Other continuous spells we run include Toolbox and the Magician's Restage. Toolbox itself is a continuous spell while getting us an equip spell, so it's 2 spells in 1. While Magician's Restage is both a monster reborn for level 3 or lower spellcasters, and a search for the extremely powerful Magician's Middle Finger set when sent to the grave. So the deck is a bit like the White Forest deck that's not here yet, but with face-up spells instead of set ones. Black Forest sounds like a good name for the deck when you literally run the Witch of the Black Forest. So, the updates. Last time our deck was blessed with having 3 copies of Wanted, Seeker of the Sinful Spoils, a free search for Diablo Star which is in the gate with follow-up guaranteed. But unfortunately, or more thankfully because otherwise we're going against Snake Eyes every day, is now limited to 1 and we have to find something to replace them. The idea came when I tried tweaking the deck for the new event, the XC and the Link Festival. Since this deck only uses Link monsters, I thought, hey, I can do a run with this deck. And then found out both Diablo Star and Griffin Rider are banned for the event. Then I remembered another card banned for this one. That card is Mikanko Water Arabesque. This equip spell bounces a monster on either field, then summons a Mikanko monster from the deck and equip to it. Summon Nini, the Mirror Mikanko, and we have an interaction while bouncing an opponent's monster. As an equip spell, it works really well with the 3 copies of Toolbox we're already running. Before, we had to run 2 equip spells each for going first and second. But since Arabesque can do both, we can now run 1 less Garnet. On top of that, the Mikanko we're summoning is also coincidentally a spellcaster monster. This means she can be monster reborn with Restage, and turn both our Magician's Fingers online. Combined with her Snatch Steal effect, she puts up a stronger board than you think. And speaking of Snatch Steal, we also have with us this time, the real Snatch Steal. With the legendary equip spell now unlimited, we have a way stronger set of equip spells for going second. That combined with the Witch of the Black Forest's ability to search Dogaran, the deck can do some surprising comebacks going second. Nobody ever negates the Witch by the way, because they all have no idea what we're doing. Speaking of having no idea what we're doing, there's nothing close to a set combo in this deck, so I can't tell you what we're doing exactly either. Instead, it's all about improvising, and we'll see how we do that in the replays. Our hand was good with 4 out of 5 witches, so we went Adventurer first, normal summon the Witch of the Black Forest to trigger the search for a Draco back, and grab our Griffin Rider for an Omni before finally putting down the Diablo Star for a second one. Oh yeah, Witch of the Black Forest searches Max C. I wonder what their face was like when they saw that. Pass to our opponent. He starts with a Droplet pitching Shadow Mist and a Malicious, while that's just +2. We still use our Silvera on that because we want to keep our Griffin Rider. Diablo Star's effect triggers, Draco back is perfect as cost, as Draco back just equips itself once again. Our opponent then a Dusted Gold to search Dark Calling. Didn't know what it does, but from now on I know I have to Griffin Rider that. Down comes Malicious Bane, probably one of the most well-designed cards in terms of card power, and that's our Griffin Rider forced out. All our interactions spent, good thing we have Max C to keep our opponent in check. Down comes DPE, breaking through the remainder of our board like nothing. Ignore the smoke mosquito I used to stop Tenpais. Back to us, 1 DPE and a Malicious Bane to deal with, but good thing we have plenty of tools. Activate the Sinful Swirl of Subversion and he chains DPE. We chain Silvera's Graveyard effect, which most of us forget about, and this is pretty much game. Activate Snatch Steal to grab the Malicious Bane while watching Adularia slowly grow in size, and it's enough for lethal. Second Duel, and we get some serious going second action. As I've said, this deck is surprisingly strong at breaking boards, and this Duel shows that well. Our opponent is on Cybers, and Circular is simply busted. We throw our Veiler on the Alambertian, but our opponent just goes on like nothing happened, ending on a Spell Trap Negate in the Save Worm in the graveyard, Super Factorial for a Pseudo Trishula, Signet Conflict which is an Omni Counter Trap, and an Unknown set card. Alright, time to crack some board. We start with Witch of the Black Forest normal summon, Link summon Artemis to trigger the Witch, and of course our opponent lets it through. What could possibly go wrong? Drop the Dogoran, which bypasses the Witch's restriction, and the biggest pain in the butt, Signet Conflict, is turned off. Our opponent probably panicked here, firing off the Super Factorial as well. I also sort of panicked here, firing off the Wanted, probably should have held it in hand because the Save Worm is still live. 50% chance our opponent helps us combo with the hand rip, but of course it's the best rip he could get. Diablo Star tries to surge while pitching the Mudora, which is our second foolish target, and that takes the Imperm as well. But what that means is we're clear from here. Mudora shuffles the Save Worm and our opponent is out of interactions. Activate Aramesir, put down the Fateful Adventure, and we summon Typhon to trigger it. Typhon locks us out of summons for the rest of the turn, but together with Draco back we have 2 bounces. One for the big damn digital dragon and the other for the flaming kaiju we gave them. Finally we go into battle, clearing our opponent's board, and we pass it to our opponent. 3 cards in our opponent's hand to deal with 1 Griffin Rider doesn't sound too difficult, but with a rather empty extra deck, our opponent is out of answers and he surrenders. Final duel, and we go against the most appropriate opponent for our deck, the equally chaotic 60-card Mess Pal. We get to go first, but our opponent gets to see in a 60-card deck. Luckily we do rather fine under that. Can't avoid giving them a draw of the Adventurer token, 1 more on Diablo Star, but this way we get a Magician's Right Hand off the restage, and Griffin Rider starting next turn too. Add Silvera to the list and we should be fine. Opponent's turn, they start with some branded thing, we'll ignore that, it's not branded fusion yet. Then they drop the Nightmare Pain, which gets negated by the right hand, mandatory by the way. After that comes the Lotus, we summon the Griffin Rider before they could land the Phantom. Then they go for Nightmare Pain, and I thought about how we just run them out of Nightmare Pains. Do that, and indeed they just summon Phantom, which can no longer do damage, and set free and pass. Back to us. The other reason why I dared to spend our Griffin on that Nightmare Pain is because we already have a good answer to Phantom. Drop the Dogoran and it's out of the way immediately. Our opponent then reveals his back row. Wow, both Summon Limit and Tikaboo. Unfortunately, it doesn't do much to us. Bounce back the Dogoran, grab the Griffin Rider so we have an Omni before we turn off Summon Limit permanently with Silvera. Summon Adularia, which is a whopping 4,000, and we go for a game. Never mind, guess we're here for some more turns. Spend the Wanted in the grave for a draw. Nice restage. Activate that, and we send it off with Adularia alongside Draco back. Both triggers to get us something back, and now we have the full Magician's Middle Finger set. Comes in clutch as he activates his Scarlet Sanguine late. Pass to our opponent, who starts with the graveyard effect of Scarlet Sanguine, and that takes the mandatory Magician's Middle Finger alongside a 3rd Nightmare Pain. No wonder your deck is that large. Then they summon the Fallen of Albaz. We have to stop that because somehow Rindbrum can use Griffin Rider as material. No cards in our opponent's hand, what can possibly go wrong? Uh-oh, choo-choo train, but that's not the biggest problem. The Zeus afterwards is... We have Spell and Trap Negates, but not a single one for monsters. Next turn, we drill this subversion that can out the Zeus, but it doesn't solve our problem. Gone goes our board, and we don't have the things in our deck to rebuild it either. Only if we ran 2 Fateful Adventures, but if I do that, our deck would be another 60 card like his. The Golden Lord uses the Zeus we sent to the spell and trap zone as cost and comes back big, walking straight over our Diablo Star. And to add suit to our wound, he drew another spirit again. We can make something work with a Snatch Steal, and what we draw is... Man, we were so close to winning that last one. Alright, back to the deck. Didn't look too shabby in the replays, but to be honest, your hands are way more crusty than this most of the time. In fact, it's probably the worst deck in that sense I've ever used. If you get a full hand of starters and just enough hand traps, the deck can do really well like in the comeback against the Cybers board. But if you draw the wrong cards such as Snatch Steal and Dogaran going first, or both Fateful Adventure and Draco back, or simply no monsters, there's a million combinations that doesn't work. Yeah, it's not great. Pretty much why I took out the Mudora and the Smoke Mosquito and didn't run 2 Fateful Adventures. And looking back, maybe Prospe and an extra Diablo Star can help fix the hands. You can also go balls deep and cut the Ash too. Right now it's just a target for the Fire Charmer. Don't cut the Veiler though, it's your Witch target going first when you already drill the Sea. Speaking of which, the extra deck is actually surprisingly tight. Everything's there for its purpose, so think twice before you cut anything. But otherwise, this deck is a refreshing one to play. Witch of the Black Forest adds possibilities that surprises at least our opponent. And it's always exciting when your opponent lets 2 box through and you reveal Arabesque and Snatch Steal. No one can possibly know where to stop you when you don't even know where you're heading yourself.